all right. You are listening to the Deadman's Tome podcast, a show broadcast live from a trailer park deep in the heart of Meth County, Texas. I'm your host, MrDeadman, and tonight's show, we're talking about two movies, Crawl and Killer Sofa, which really should be called Killer Recliner, but I guess it's too wordy. But first off, this show tonight is sponsored by let me go look at our sponsor real fast. Thai Hookers 101. What you must know about sex and prostitutes before coming to Thailand. Like how to inspect what's under the hood before you seal that deal. Otherwise, you might find, hey, you might have 6 balls in that room. Let's see, what else? Oh, how to determine the age. God, that's going to be a good one. And what is the consequence of going for the discount hooker? Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're expecting a good show. I want to have a good, fun show. I know other episodes we talked about racism in America and some other stuff. This one tonight, we're talking reviews. We're talking horror movies. Two in particular, like I said, Crawl and Killer Sofa, which are both interesting. Let me go ahead and start with Killer Sofa. I'll go ahead and start off with that one. First off, I watched it this morning. I had no idea what to expect. Just from the cover alone, I thought it was going to be like an over-the-top, gory, like some sort of trauma sort of film, that sort of thing. What did I get instead? I got something that's more in line of Zombievers. If you've seen Zombievers, and you know what I'm talking about, where it's definitely very campy, corny, it's cheap, it's cheesy, it's like a B movie, it's like a C movie actually. But this movie, I feel like Killer Sofa, like it tries to go that campy route, and it definitely does in some areas pretty well. But in other areas, it's like it's hindered by limitations. I don't know, because of budget. I don't know, because they couldn't find people to do certain things. I don't know. But we'll get into that. So, I mean, what is this movie about? Well, clearly on the cover, it kind of explains it all. And then the title, Killer Sofa. It's about a recliner that kills people. Now, I was hoping for, if you're watching the live stream, you can see the cover. If you're listening to the podcast version, you can't see it. Look, it looks like a recliner with some nasty teeth coming out of it, some very evil looking eyes, blood everywhere. I thought this thing was going to be a recliner that actually eats people. Something ridiculous, something over the top. I was expecting gallons of blood being gushed out of people, like gushers, like the candy, the treat back in the day. Like that. But no, what you get instead is something more in the line of like, you get the recliner, but does it eat anybody? No. Does it do any... The worst thing that this recliner does is it pushes someone... It like breaks their leg. It does kill people apparently by stealing their souls, but you don't get the carnivorous recliner. You don't get that. So disappointed in that regard. Now, like I said though, I kind of ended the watching experience with good thoughts about this film. Probably because I didn't pay anything for it. I watched it on Amazon Prime, which I've seen so many movies. It's like, okay, I'm getting my money's worth out of it. But had I paid to watch this in theaters, I probably would have been very disappointed. But I didn't. So, it is what it is. Killer Sofa, man. Well, I try to explain the story as best I can, but really the movie itself, I don't think it really knows what the story is, because one part of the movie, I will say, the movie starts off great, and you get someone being like slaughtered, someone getting their legs cut off, like in Saw fashion, we're like Dexter fashion, except they don't really show the gore. They don't really show it. They don't show the cutting into the leg because I think limitations, not because of artistic style, but limitations. They show like the blood splatter and gunk fall. And the reason I say limitations is because if you choose to stream this movie to see it yourself, you'll see that there's things that they do deliberately because they know that they don't have the budget to really do a severed limb. So what do? They kind of hide the severed limb, what's supposed to be a severed limb, behind a cabinet or something, and they imply that it's been cut off, when really, it hasn't been. Okay, so this sofa is apparently cursed or something. It's like they call it a dibuk. It's some sort of a Jewish thing. I'm trying to be good here about this. A dibuk possessed reclining chair. Okay, but is it really haunted by a demon, or is it because in the beginning scene you see this guy, his legs get cut off, whatever. It turns out later on they're looking for the guy's body. They're looking for him. The homicide in New Zealand, or at least takes place in New Zealand apparently, are looking for him. But there's a part in the movie where later on they find out, surprise, surprise, the person they're looking for, the person that the detectives are looking for, has been inside the sofa this whole time. So is the sofa really a guy in the recliner? Sofa. Is the recliner really just a guy in it, or is it really possessed? According to this movie, it's both. It's both at the same time, you know. But I shouldn't rag on it because this film, it's like it knows it doesn't make any sense. It knows it's self-aware when even the characters say it's all so confusing. None of this makes any sense over something trivial like the name of one of the characters. First off, all these characters in this film are like cartoon characters essentially. They're all super cliche and tropey, which I don't have a problem with. I think that's great for like a comedy. It can be, especially something like this where you know it's going to be like cheap, low budget. You know what you're getting into. You got a disgraced Jewish rabbi. You got a disgraced rabbi who has father issues, who's trying to prove to his dad that he can be the best rabbi, right? Then he's married to an eccentric voodoo sorceress. So a rabbi married to a voodoo sorceress, and these are the two that kind of explain what a dibuk is or whatever, and how to get rid of it and all this stuff. Which none of that actually really matters in the end. None of it really matters because none of it does anything. None of it does anything at all. In fact, they could probably get rid of all that and it'd just be fine. But no, they have it there because you have to have what's possessing it. We got to explain what's possessing it. And while it's annoying for even a film like this to have that, this is why this object is possessed. I hate that. You know what movie did that well? Chucky. Chucky did that well. It's so ridiculous and over the top, but it's done very quickly in the very beginning. You get a serial killer to put his soul in a plastic doll by using voodoo. You just brush through that real fast without really explaining it. You don't explain it because it already doesn't make any sense, and you just do it. Boom, done. I hate it when movies try to rationalize and really explain in the details of why the possession works and all this stuff. And this movie does a little bit of that. Not too much, though. Not too much. And when it does happen, like I said, the characters are like kind of cartoon characters in that the Jewish rabbi, I'm not saying Jewish rabbi, that's kind of redundant. The rabbi, does he sound Jewish? You know, that Jewish sort of stereotypical Jewish sound? Yeah, he does. He sounds like a South Park character in a way. He does. So does the voodoo sorceress, by the way. Okay. So, now, in this film, Killer Sofa, we follow our main character, Francesca. Francesca, played by Pimio. I think this is her first movie. I think this is her first movie she's ever done. It's the only thing credited to her name. She's not bad looking. she's supposed to be the hot woman in the movie. She's definitely not hot. She's not New Zealand hot, most definitely. She's she's more attractive than the other than her best friend, and I suppose that's good. It's fine. But she's supposed to be the I guess she's the hot one. Anyway, so it follows her, and she has this problem with boyfriends apparently. Like the guys go crazy and they try to kill themselves over her or try to hurt themselves for her. They go. She describes it that they get. They become dedicated. Her friend describes it as if they become possessed. And when they get into that, what I'm talking about is, so the first person you see that dies, and that death is right away in the beginning, right? That's one of her boyfriends, apparently. That was one of her boyfriends that died. So the homicide detective comes in and starts talking to her. Like, do you know who this person is? It's like, oh, that's one of my boyfriends, and they become dedicated or possessive. Hey, Kybus. Hey, Kybus. Tonight I'm talking about horror movies. I was actually expecting to be much later. I had a late appointment, late evening appointment over in, well, I don't want to say the name. Yeah, but just talking about horror movies right now. But yeah, we're definitely still on for Wednesday. Don't worry. See. Oh, let me show you an image of the sofa, by the way. That's crazy. It looks like something from Ted. Looks like something from Ted. Movie with a stuffed bear. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So this is the sofa or the recliner, and what they have here in the cover is totally different. Okay, so that's what the recliner actually looks like in the movie. This is what it looks like on the cover. Very, very deceiving, right? Very deceiving. Once again, if you're watching this on the podcast, let me try put it this way. Like I said in the cover, big teeth, lots of blood, evil-looking eyes, a demonic lazy boy, like Iva said in the chat. But what you have in the actual movie, what it looks like is this kind of gray, brownish-looking recliner with what looks like eyes, with two big black buttons that look like they kind of glow in a way. And the thing that kind of looks like a mouth, one of the folds. I got distracted. I gotta talk about Francesca. This is gonna get into why I think this movie was hindered by limitations. Like, it wants to be really cheesy. I think in some ways, this wanted to go trauma level cheesy, but it just didn't have the budget or the balls to do it. You let me know what it is. So you have this chick who's supposed to be the hot one in the group. They build her up in the very beginning. She's dancing, and they kind of try to frame her as the sexy one. She's really not. I mean, she has legs. Let me see if I can find an image. If I pulled it of her, she definitely has long legs like that, and that's nice and all. But she has the bust size of an undeveloped teen. I don't know what to tell you. Like, not even an A cup. Like, my breasts are bigger than hers, and that's kind of sad. But nature was kind to her in other areas. Yeah, nature was kind to her in other areas. So they frame her up like that. She has this problem where her boyfriends apparently become obsessive, which is something throughout the movie, kind of a joke that's kind of like doubled down on and revisited. And she even describes to the homicide detectives that when they do your boyfriends ever hit you? Like, have you ever been assaulted? And she's like, well, no. Well, I mean, only during sex. And he's like, oh, that's never good. And she's like, oh, but I like it. When they slap me around, I like it. When it gets heated and stuff. So she's like the crazy, wild sex girl, right? She's the crazy, wild psycho girl, definitely in the bed, right? So with a character like that, and with the scene in the movie, is there a scene where in this scene, like I say, you're watching the live stream, you see it. In the podcast, you don't. She's sitting in the recliner. She's sitting in the what's pretty much a demonic love seat. She's about to lean back and go into a sex scene, kind of sort of. She's kind of grinding on it. She's kind of grinding on it in a very sensual way. The music plays, this very over-the-top porn music, which sounds pretty cool, by the way. It starts playing. The lighting changes. It gets all red. It gets all hot and sensual and all that. She gets into it. You would think with that, with the way the character's framed, you would get some tits, or ass, or something. You don't get any of that. Now, you could be like, oh, Mr. Deadman, you're just complaining because you didn't see any boobs. You're right. You're right, I am. I'm not going to lie about this. Did this pass the Joe Bob Briggs scale of the 3 Bs? You got the bodies, you don't get much blood, and you don't get any boobs. I don't think this thing would pass. It definitely doesn't pass my version of it. It definitely doesn't pass. But because I'm saying you have that weird scene. If you're going to go, if you're going to go there all the way. Have fun with it. I mean, what's holding them back? The limitations, like woke limitations, not wanting to do it because objectification. Well, they already wrote a character that's very sexualized and stuff. It's just something seems off. Like maybe it was the actress's choice. Maybe she didn't want to do it. That's fine too. That's fine. But something seems like they wanted to go in a certain direction, but they couldn't go. Another way I could frame it like this: a trauma film. When you watch a trauma film like Toxic Avenger, or was it Romeo and Juliet? That's another one. Or Nukem High. That's great. When you watch a trauma film, you know what you're getting into, and you know they're going to be over the top and wild. But imagine watching a trauma film that's rated like PG-13. That's not good. It's not the same thing. It's kind of lacking. The best thing about Killer Sofa, the best thing about this film would actually be the recliner. It would actually be the damn recliner. It steals the fucking show. I think it has the best acting in this movie. Francesca, I know this is a horror comedy, so I'm not expecting too much. But when she cries, it sounds like she's laughing. Which is weird because you hear her laugh in some parts of the film, and it's like, oh, okay. I think the sofa, I call it the sofa because they call it a sofa. It's actually a recliner. I think it steals the show. It definitely has the sex scene, and afterwards it has, and the next scene afterwards it has like a cup of coffee with some breakfast waiting for her. As if, hey baby, we had a good night. Well, why do you come on over here for a round 2? Maybe get some sex in the morning. Get some morning wood there. But the recliner, man, I feel that it is the best character. Best acting. And all it wants to do is be loved. It finally gets attention. It gets a piece of ass. And what happens? Her gay roommate, which, by the way, in this film, we want to talk about limitations. I don't know if this is a limitation. I don't know. This kind of goes with what I was getting at. Maybe they were wanting to do more gore-wise, or maybe showing some sexual stuff, but they just couldn't. The reason why I'm kind of hung up on that, on the wokeness, if there was ever an issue with that, is because this movie has gay jokes in it. So this chick has a problem with all her boyfriends becoming obsessive and deranged. So she's dating this guy. She claims she's dating this guy who she really likes. It really enjoys being around. But he's a total dick. Her friend points out that he's a total dick to her and wants nothing to do with her. And she's like, yeah, but I kind of like that because he's not clingy. He's not clingy. And she's like, he's gay, right? And she doesn't accept it. She doesn't acknowledge it. And in her mind, her boyfriend right now is totally her boyfriend, not just some roommate that's there. It's like, it's... I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of a funny way to kind of spin this character around. That was interesting. It definitely sets up for the sofa to want to kill the roommate, because they had that nice fling at night, and then the morning after, they trying to go for morning wood. But what happens? The gay roommate comes in. And she's all flirty with him. The sofa made the breakfast, so we're led to believe, I suppose. Had the coffee and everything waiting for her. She was about to go eat it, but the gay roommate comes in and starts eating the food. And she's all over him. So when the sofa finally kills him, which happens fast, by the way. This is a short movie, and good God, it is. When the sofa finally starts killing him, good. It was well deserved. Well deserved. Competition, man. You got to take it out. See, what else can I say about this film? I guess more about the recliner. How far does it go with the recliner? I have to say, well, I'm disappointed that the recliner doesn't eat anyone. You do get a scene where the recliner's throwing a dead body over the balcony. How does that happen? Well, I could try to describe it to you, but you just have to watch it. I will say the movie did a pretty good job with sound. Like the sounds that the recliner makes, the creaky stuff, you hear it in the beginning. You hear it in the beginning, you see it, which then when someone's in the apartment, you know what's going on. You know what's going on. It sounds kind of weird. Like, what is that? What does that sound? He's moving around. He's doing something. What is he doing? Where is he at? What is he going to do? Like, and that was another thing that was good about this film is like I didn't know exactly where they were going to go with this, really. So, and like I said, when I watched it, I didn't have any expectations whatsoever. I mean, I thought it was going to be a total flop. But what I got was mildly entertaining. Definitely out there. Very campy, which I like. Let's see. Anything else to say? Just like it's the Jewish demon element of this film was sort of like kind of thrown in there to explain why the sofa's possessed. But like I said, it doesn't really matter, and I don't think the movie really cares about it too much. It kind of does, but doesn't, because like I said, the first person you see that gets killed in the movie is one of her obsessive boyfriends, and he doesn't actually get killed. He actually asks for his friend to cut his legs off so he can be inside this recliner. He wants to be inside this recliner. But this recliner is also possessed. So you get a little bit of both. It's like they're writing this, we're like, well, what else could we do with it? What else could complicate it? Just have fun with it. But they go with the Dibuk thing. They go with that. There's a part where they try to do an exorcism sort of thing, but not on the sofa. They get Francesca to go into this trance, so they could try to find out like why the spirit is haunting her and all this, why it's clinging onto her. And in that process, a couple things happened. One, she finds out that what's haunting the sofa is a spirit of a great grandmother's lover. So she was getting it on with her great grandpa, essentially, kind of, sort of. Am I supposed to believe that? Is that where we're getting at with this? The other thing is they come up with this plan to get rid of the sofa by using a debuk box or whatever. It's a box that you store the spirit in, but it's the size of a small box. It's the size of a cigar box. The sofa, the recliner's big. So what do they do with it? Do they explain how to make a bigger one for the sofa? No, they just go with it like fucking retarded all the way. Like, okay, we're gonna have this tiny cigar box thing. And there's literally a part where she enters her apartment, she drops down the box, she's like, get in the box! And it's like, it couldn't even fit in the box even if it wanted to. What are you trying to do? This is so stupid. But she's like, get in the box! And he's like, no. He calls her Valerie or whatever. I guess that's her great-grandmother's name, whatever. Valerie, come here, Valerie. You'll do fine. Even though you're my great-granddaughter, you'll do fine. God. But and then it escalates. She tries to set it on fire. She gets gasoline, pours it on the recliner, pouring it on herself, by the way, by accident. I'm like, is that like a one take thing? Like, how many takes did it take with that? Probably, you know, pour on the recliner and starts doing this thing with the matches. Like it's a cartoon show. I tell you, this movie's a fucking cartoon. with the matches. So you have the recliner drenched in gasoline, and her shirt as well. She gets the matches, shows it to it like, all right, I got you now. And one by one, she lights the matches. And what happens? The fucking recliner blows it out. Whew. That's it. And over, that happens. She doesn't try to like walk behind the recliner and set it on fire. No. She's like, it's like you have the characters limited in a very funny, goofy, cartoonish way. It works for it though, because the way it's done, I really can't complain about it. If I were to complain about it and be serious and be critical of it, that'd be being an idiot. Because you can't go into a movie called Killer Sofa and expect nothing else than some over-the-top goofy shit, right? I said this before with the movie Zombie Ass, Toilet of the Undead. You can't go into that movie and not expect toilet humor, right? Like, it goes with it. So why would anyone complain about this movie being too goofy, too cheesy, especially in a critical sense? Like, I wouldn't drop any rating because of how goofy it is. It's what you should expect. It's just what I would drop the rating on is it seemed like it could have gone further in some areas. Like it kind of tipped its toes in certain things, but it didn't go all the way. It was like restrained for some reason. And I'm thinking it's because of just like a budget, lack of resources. Maybe they're afraid to go a certain area because of PC culture and stuff, but I don't think so. I don't know. This is a 2019 film, so it's possible. But like I said, they have a gay joke in there. They have a psycho woman joke. I don't know, man. They definitely have daddy issues. Now think about it. They have a Jewish joke too. I mean, the rabbi is pretty much a cartoon character. Anyway. But I think I'm done with this. I think I'll give this one a rest. The other movie I definitely we'll talk about here tonight, Crawl. Now, Crawl's completely different. I mean, in a similar way, I was not expecting Crawl to be good. I was not. It is a horror thriller. It is a horror thriller titled with a verb. Crawl. I was not expecting it to be really any good. But surprise, surprise, it actually was. I was actually very surprised by that. Maybe it's the lack of expectations, I don't know. But what is Crawl? It is a 2019 American disaster horror film. It is a great way, a great example of a simple story that's told very well, told exceedingly well. What's another good example of that? Let's say like Die Hard. Die Hard is a simple story, right? Very simple story, but it's told very well. You can take a very simple premise and tell it in a way through by showing the character going through all these trials and trying to overcome these difficulties. That's how you tell a very simple story. And that's what sold me on Crawl. It did. It opens up, you get a little bit of the background of the main character. Haley Keller, played by Kea Deliro, or whatever. God dang, I cannot say her name. But I got a little bit of her character in the beginning. She's a swimmer. She's on the swim team or whatever. A big storm's hitting Florida. People are supposed to evacuate, but her father can't evacuate. She finds out that her father is kind of under the basement for some reason. I think he's injured down there. And so she tries to get him out, but in the process, the storm's just escalating. The floodwaters are rising. The levees are about to break pretty soon, so they have to get out of there. And the problem gets more intense when there's an alligator in the basement with them. It starts off very simple, very plausible right there. And some people complain about this movie because it goes too wild and too insane. They'd be like, she's swimming away from alligators. She's outsmarting alligators. She's able to get past 4 or 5, 6 I forgot how many she gets by. And people complain about this film. When they complain about this film, they complain about that it's too over the top. That she would have died. There's no way this could have happened. It's a horror film. It's a thriller film. It's gonna be over the top. Come on. Imagine Die Hard. Go like John McClane. There's no way he could have gotten through all those terrorists. There's just no way. It's a thriller. It's an action film. It's supposed to be impossible odds being achieved. By the way, the reason why Die Hard works is because those impossible odds are being achieved, and when they're being achieved, there's a struggle. Like, you don't know if John's gonna make it, right? You don't really know because he's being injured left and right. Same thing with Crawl. With the Halle Keller character, she's getting injured quite a bit. She doesn't get out of this unscathed. In fact, when she gets out of this, she's been bitten, she's bloodied up, she's banged up, her body's broken some ways. She gets injured, but she fights through it. This is how you make a strong female character. This is a good example of a strong female character. I don't mind a strong female character if it's done well. Those Mary Sues, like the Rey in Star Wars, fuck that shit. That shit's garbage. This woman can do anything and everything because she's a whammon. That is garbage nonsense. That's not storytelling. That's just that's garbage right there. In this film, this character, yeah, she's a good swimmer. The only part where I think she might be a Mary Sue when it comes to the swimming aspect, but they show you that she's really good. She's on, like, I think one of the top of her team. It's okay. They justify it by showing you that. But everything else, she goes through difficulties to overcome these obstacles. She has to face fears. She has to weigh the consequences of her actions. She could possibly lose her dad, lose her dog. She has a dog named Sugar. She could lose these things very easily. And because this movie, I like what they did with it in towards the very beginning of the film, which is encountering the alligators. They let you know real fast that it's not going to be easy for her. It's not going to be easy for her at all. Very early on in the film, she gets bitten. I mean, in the way it's done, it's like maybe the alligator's bite should have just took her arm off clean and that be it. But she finds a gun. How does she find a gun? There's some cops around, and they get hurt by I think it was a shootout or something that happens. But anyway, the dead body's floating into the basement, and just so happens, of course, it's gonna have a gun on it, right? Officer's gonna have a gun. So she takes the gun. Right when she takes it, the alligator comes out of the water, and she points the gun right at the alligator and opens fire. When that happens, she goes to fire, but as the story is with mishaps and bad luck, like what happens with any good storytelling like this, it doesn't work right away. It jams, and it doesn't jam. She has a problem with the gun, and she's kind of messing with it. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's kind of messing with it. Around that time, she points it out the alligator. She sees it. She tries to fire, but something's wrong with the gun. Doesn't fire right. Just messing with it again. Points at the water. Boom! That's when the alligator comes in, bites her, goes to bite her. Bam! She fires right into its throat. So yeah, she does get her forearm kind of cut up like that, all bloodied and nasty looking. But because they did that, and that's our main character, that lets us know, like, to me, the audience, to you, the audience, it's like, we don't know if this character is really going to make it all the way. Like, how's this movie going to end? Is the dad going to die? Is the dog going to die? Is she going to die? Like, what's going to happen here? Because when a storyteller is letting you know, when the storyteller is kind of putting their characters in those sorts of obstacles, those sort of struggles, it's like, okay, they're doing that already. Like, how far are they going to go with this, right? You don't really know. Are they going to go Game of Thrones and start killing people? You don't know. So, because they did that, all the other scenes afterwards where definitely the stakes are being raised. Like, you have a scene where the dad's being flooded in the basement, the water levels, it's rising, and she has to get him out. The tension's escalating, the situation's escalating, the water level's rising, the levees are about to break, there's alligators swimming out there. Things are getting more intense. You, it's the gradual process of it. You're kind of hooked, like you don't know how far it's going to go before one of them dies, or gets even more injured. That's the thrill of it, really. I haven't seen this once. Like, if I were to watch it again, I don't know if it'll have the same effect. I think this one, this movie is like you see once for the first time, and it's like, oh, okay, oh, damn, like this got me. The part that I think is kind of, I guess, superhuman, wham and stuff, and not just because she's a girl. It's just, it's like this with any movie where there's an underwater scene or any scene where they have to hold their breath. Essentially, I think there was an episode of one of the later seasons of 24 where it's like this. Any movie or show that has a scene where they have to hold their breath, it's just ridiculous how long these characters can hold their breath for. They have like these iron lungs that can just last forever. What I mean is, when she's swimming out from the basement area to try to get around to the front of her house, she swims through this tunnel that leads to, well, okay, she's just swimming. She's like underwater for like a good 3-4 minutes. It seems a lot longer than what it should. It's like she has to be going for air. And then, of course, there's an alligator. She sees an alligator, which, by the way, she's able to see clearly in this water, which I don't think that would happen in these floodwaters. It would be too dirty. You wouldn't see. You wouldn't have that good. You would not have that sort of visual at all. But that's just me talking. I mean, what's your experience like with floodwaters? They're usually always dirty, very, very filthy. Contaminated. Really, think about it. All the dirt and grime. But she's able to see the alligator and then outswim the alligator to surface. That stuff is sort of funny. But everything else, I think, is pretty cool. Very intense. Yeah, especially when the alligators get into the house and all that. It's very, it definitely gets the adrenaline going. It is not just me saying this. I mean, the budget of this film is like $13 million. The box office, $91 million. They actually made pretty good money off this film if you think about it. And it's a very simple film with a very small cast. Apparently, Quentin Tarantino likes this film too. Apparently, he says it's like one of the best movies, best thrillers of 2019. Let's see. Yeah, he definitely holds in high regard. Which, hey, that's interesting. That's definitely good credit right there. Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. If I were to choose either Craw or The Killer Sofa, oh yeah, definitely Craw, hands down. If I were to recommend a movie best of 2019, Craw would definitely be high on that list. It does it well. I know the story's simple. They try to survive when the levees break, and when the levees break, oh god, it gets good. It gets good. That's a simple story. You just try to survive and outswim alligators, outsmart alligators. Good luck on that, right? But keep in mind, in the real life, human beings have done that. I mean, there's literally the crocodile hunter who would swim. He would swim with crocodiles. He would swim with them. He'd be in the water with them. Like 4, 5, 6 at a time, right? Like, human beings have done crazy things, like swim with sharks. Like, not in a cage, just out in the open, just swim with sharks, Survived, humans survive things they probably shouldn't, like when grizzlies attacks, when shark attacks, when alligators attack, It's things that happen, that could happen. Is it very likely? No, of course, the odds are against you. But this is an intense thriller film. Of course it's going to be the odds are against you. That's what makes it compelling. Kind of like when a bunch of terrorists take over a building. What are the odds that one cop who wasn't even going to work that day, right? He was going to go see his family. That's what he was going to go see. But now, what are the odds that one cop survives a terrorist? A terrorist takedown of a building. Yeah. So the naysayers go, oh, this movie's too over the top, whatever. Come on, you need to remind yourself of what this is. Of course it's over the top. And live a little, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe smoke some if you got it, drink some if you have it, but enjoy what you can, man. You take it too seriously, I think. Anyway, let me know what you think about the Killer Sofa and Crawl, okay? Let me know what you think about these films. And definitely recommend any of the films you want me to review and watch, and I'll definitely do that. You guys, ladies, take it easy. Take it easy.